We're joined now by Dr. Alveda King, a former legislator in the Georgia House of Representatives. She is the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we're always proud to have her on our show. Good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Now, Jim Crow on steroids is how President Biden has described this new voting law. You remember what Jim Crow was like, and you certainly were taught all the details about it from your family. Does this bear any resemblance to Jim Crow?
David, I am 70 years old. I am the daughter of Reverend Alfred Daniel Williams King, who fought with his brother, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., their dad guiding them, and certainly God guiding them, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Sr. We fought for voter rights. Now, we never denied that you would not need identification when you register to vote or go to vote, that you would need a reliable source that would prove that you are citizens of the United States. We fought to be recognized and acknowledged as citizens of the United States with the right to vote. That's the Jim Crow laws that we were fighting against. Now that we are citizens, my ID, my right to vote should be valued. I have that today. That is what we were fighting for. Today, now people are saying, those who are calling these actions Jim Crow, you don't need identification. You could live anywhere. You should come from anywhere. You can mail in your votes, all of that. But it takes away what we actually fought for, to be recognized as equally recognized as citizens of these United States, regardless of skin color.
Right.
We were fighting to be one blood, one human race. That's not what's going on today, David.
Well, but you have the President of the United States calling people who support this law that does require identification, but identification that you get for free from the government, or you can use your gas and electric bill or anything. He's calling that Jim Crow. He's calling people who support it racist. And yet he's a guy who came in saying he was going to be the great unifier. Does race baiting equal anything close to unifying the nation?
President Biden is very adept at race baiting. He and all of his cohorts and colleagues are. If you throw skin color into a discussion and you step on the emotions of people who have fought to be considered equal in these United States, then you're going to immediately get support and confusion for that position. He is not telling the truth. Voter identification is not voter suppression.
Right.
He knows that, but he's relying on the emotions of the people who've been downtrodden for so long to be so disturbed and so outraged that they will not see and hear what is really going on.
Well, let me just ask, since you were in the legislature, if you were still in the legislature, would you, the niece of Martin Luther King Jr., have voted for this new voting law?
I would have voted for the new voting law. I don't believe it solves everything. And for me, it's a little bit too late. They should have done something before the last election, honestly, because so many irregularities and so many strange things happened. And yet something must be done. So absolutely, I would have voted for it, but I would have been fighting for it long before this point. As a matter of fact, for the last several years, I've been asking people to deal with registering people to vote. I have run voter registration efforts myself through the years, and I still do. I encourage people to vote. You know, I ask people to vote for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness from the womb to the tomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very clear on that. So I am a champion of voting rights. I have fought for voting rights.
Yes.
And so I know that they are very important, and we are not supporting voter suppression by any means.
All right. I want to move on to another subject that I know is near and dear to your heart, and that's attendance at religious ceremonies that have been really thwarted by the pandemic. In Calgary, Canada, police are facing a lot of backlash for busting in and shutting down, or trying to shut down, a Good Friday church service because of COVID restrictions. They did not succeed. Here's what happened when the pastor of the church confronted the police. Listen.
It was like a flashback when those police officers showed up at my church. Everything kind of came back to life from my childhood. And the only thing I could do is to fend off the wolves as a shepherd, and I used my voice to get rid of them. I was a little bit shaken, but I did what every shepherd right now on the planet Earth should be doing: fend off the wolves. We as lions should never bow before the hyenas, and that's what they are right now.
Should emphasize, Dr. King, he is from Poland, and he grew up in a communist environment, and he said he's not going to let that happen here. What do you think of his confrontation with the police there?
I watched the video confrontation. I fully agree with him. To me, some people say we're in a battle and we're fighting good against evil. Well, good has already defeated evil. And we just testified to that last weekend. Jesus Christ has won the victory as far as I'm concerned. So I am in occupation. I'm occupying the kingdom of heaven right here, right now. And that's what that pastor was doing. And he was like, get out, no, don't come back unless you have a warrant. He was well within his rights. We do have to stand up peacefully, non-violently. And however, we have to fight for our religious freedoms. We should not suppress other people's rights to believe what they believe, but we should not allow our religious freedoms to be taken away from us. So I absolutely applauded his actions. I was very encouraged by them. He was nonviolent, and yet he was very, very firm and within the law.
Yeah.
He should have done that. Yes, he should.
Firm within the law, and he succeeded in getting them out of his church. Alveda King, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for coming in again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, David.